What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Friday to you all. And in this video, I want to talk about a Consumer Reports article that I came across today titled Worst Deals on New Cars Right Now. Now, essentially, this article lists 10 cars that are selling above MSRP. And to be honest with you, I was really surprised to see some of the cars that made this list. But I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. Let's jump into the computer and check out this article. And please like and follow for more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Consumer Reports website. And here's the article titled Worst Deals on New Cars Right Now. Some models are so hard to come by that consumers are paying well above the sticker price for them. Now, it's no surprise that certain vehicles in certain trims are in more demand than others, and that's why it says if you have your heart set on buying a new car this year, be prepared to pay significantly more for some models or choose one that isn't in high demand. And I also wanted to point out that Consumer Reports left out some high-priced models such as the Cadillac Escalade, Ford F-250, the Hummer EV, and Toyota Supra. So there's not going to be any of those limited edition cars like Porsche 911s and other models that everybody knows sell well over MSRP, and that is the expectation. But the surprise here is that there's a lot of cars on this list that I didn't think were still selling over MSRP. So let's go ahead and get this list started. In 10th place, we have the Kia Soul. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Kia Soul. I had no idea that these cars were selling over MSRP. And to be honest with you, I don't want to offend any Kia Soul owners. I don't know why anybody would pay over MSRP for this car. It seems like a normal, ordinary car. I don't see anything special about it. Besides its price, it has a very reasonable, entry-level price of $20,190. But as you can see here, the average spent over MSRP is $1,194, and the average transaction price is $21,384, and that makes it an average selling price of 6% over MSRP. And number 9 on the list, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Nissan Leaf, which is also selling for 6% over MSRP. Now, to be honest with you guys, I also don't know, or I haven't ever heard of anyone paying over MSRP for a Nissan Leaf. These cars typically, along with the Nissan Ariya, lease extremely well. So I don't know why anybody would pay over MSRP for this car. But as you can see here, it has an MSRP of $28,140, and the average spent over MSRP is $1,688 for an average transaction price of $29,828. And number 8 on the list is the Mazda MX-5 Miata, which is also selling for 6% over MSRP. Now, of the 3 cars that we've covered already, the Kia, the Nissan, the Mazda MX-5 is, it's a cult favorite. The Mazda Miata has a following like none other. It's a car that people desire. It's a car that's fun to drive. There aren't many cars like it, especially at this price point. And that's why the MSRP on this MX-5 Miata Sport Manual is $28,985. And the average spent over MSRP is $1,842 for an average transaction price of $30,827. And ladies and gentlemen, again, this totally makes sense to me. And number 7 on the list, we have the Cadillac CT4, which is also selling 6% over MSRP. Now, I know that this Cadillac CT4 is a super, it's a desirable model, and most of the reviewers say that it drives extremely well. Well, the MSRP on this car is $47,095, and the average spent over MSRP is $3,052, which is a big number for an average transaction price of $50,147. And ladies and gentlemen, number 6 on the list is the Chevrolet Trax, which is currently selling at an average price of 7% over MSRP. And for me, really, there isn't a big surprise here. I know the Chevy Trax has been in high demand, and I think that's due to the utility of this vehicle and its average selling price. As you can see, it has a price range of $20,400 to $23,900. When you consider the fact that the average selling price of cars in this country is close to $50,000, you can see why the Chevy Trax is in demand. And it currently has an MSRP of $20,400 for the Trax LS, and the average spent over MSRP is $1,337 for an average transaction price of $21,737. And 5th on the list, we have another Kia. We have the Kia Sorento, which is also a bit surprising to me, and the average selling price is 8% over MSRP. The price range on this car is anywhere from $31,990 on the low end all the way up to $50,290 on the higher end. Now this is, a vehicle that, it's a practical vehicle, but I'm surprised that people are paying 8% over MSRP. As you can see, the EX all-wheel drive has an MSRP of $39,290, and the average spent over MSRP is $3,277 for an average transaction price of $42,567. And number 4 on the list is the Ford Maverick, selling at 10% over MSRP. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't really a surprise to me. The Ford Maverick is a nice entry-level truck with a great price. As you can see, the price range is $23,815 on the low end, and on the higher end, it's $34,855. Super practical truck, super utilitarian. You can get a lot of housework done with this. It gets good gas mileage. And the MSRP for the Ford Maverick XL Super Crew front-wheel drive is $23,815, and the average spent over MSRP is $2,296 for an average transaction price of $26,111. And number 3 on the list, ladies and gentlemen, is another Kia that's selling over MSRP. It's the Sportage Hybrid, and it's selling at a whopping 10% over MSRP. Now, I'm not really sure why these Kias are making this list of vehicles that are selling over MSRP. I didn't realize that people were paying over MSRP on these cars. But as you can see, the price range on this Kia is $28,590 all the way up to $44,090 for the higher end trims. You got some fantastic gas mileage on this particular, on these Kia Sportage Hybrids. And the 2024 Sportage Hybrid LX front-wheel drive has an MSRP of $28,590, and the average spent over MSRP is $2,776. That's a big amount for an average transaction price of $31,366. Now, number 2 on the list, and this one really isn't a surprise, the Ford F-150, which is currently selling at 13% over MSRP. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Ford F-150, has been the best-selling car, a truck in America for years and years and years. I think just this year, the Chevy Silverado and the GMC Sierra combined are outselling the Ford F-150, but the Ford F-150 is still a highly desirable pickup truck. It's kind of the jack of all traits, and it has a price range of $36,770 on the low end, all the way up to $78,330 on the higher end. And the Ford F-150 Hybrid XL Super Crew all-wheel drive has an MSRP of $47,395, and the average spent over MSRP is $6,300 for an average transaction price of $53,695. And ladies and gentlemen, number 1 on the list, and this was also a very surprising entry for me, is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is currently selling at an average of 14% over MSRP. Now, I'm not really sure why consumers are paying 14% over MSRP for a Ford Mustang Mach-E. I mean, they have some great lease incentives. They actually have some good finance specials right now. I think you can get 0% for 72 months. But anyways, you're looking at an MSRP for a Mustang Mach-E Select rear-wheel drive of $39,995. And the average spent over MSRP is a whopping $5,546 for an average transaction price of $45,541. So there you have it. That's the list of the 10 cars that are selling above MSRP in the United States right now. Now, I found this list to be very, very surprising, but I think it relates to certain trims. I think when they talk about the Mustang Mach-E or the Kia, or the Kias, excuse me, or whether it's the Ford F-150, I think they're talking about particular trims. So the Mach-E, they're talking about the rear-wheel drive. With the F-150, they're talking about the hybrid. But I'm still surprised that they're selling so much over MSRP, I should say. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Let me know your thoughts on this list in the comment section below. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.